let me talk a little bit about the front windshield, since we're still talking about all the standard stuff that's on the bike. I would, because I ride to one of the things we're noticing is that the back passenger still gets just too much wind. So I think it's kind of important to extend the height of the windshield. Now, again, I'm shorter in stature, and I have to get like this. I have to scrunch down about 3 inches in order to get my eyes into the windshield. And so I've got plenty of room on top of the windshield, so I could add another inch to the top of that, the lip of that, and still not have any obstruction of view. So that's something that I would suggest doing if you're going to buy one of these bikes and you're going to do a long distance ride. Because and you got a passenger up back. It doesn't bother me right now. I mean, this entire 2 years, I haven't had any real wind buffering from the wind from the front. I've had it from the sides as usual, right? Actually, that's a good point too. So I'll talk about that here in a second. But the wind from the front, not a problem. Wind from the side, let's talk about that real quick. So, because it's a heavier bike, you still get blown around. We were in, but it's not always dangerous, right? You'll feel it. The bike will move based on the gusts of the wind, but it powers through pretty well. Now, we have the limits. There are limits. So we've been in 2 really windy environments. One was on the way back from Daytona, so it was through Texas back to Colorado Springs. So it went through was it Abilene? No, yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, yeah. So we were coming back on I can't even remember. Anyway, we're on the northern part of the highway. So what, 40, I guess. Anyway, northern part of Texas. So we were going through. We were coming up from Louisiana through the top and then across, and it was just crazy windy. It was pretty much 40 to 50 mile an hour sustained winds with gusts up. Well, 30 to 40 was sustained winds up with gusts up to 60, I think is what it was. And so we were riding sometimes with the sustained winds like that on the highway, and it was constantly pushing us over, and trucks were rolling by and we were getting knocked around, but it was physically exhausting. I'm not gonna lie, it was absolutely exhausting. However, it was manageable. I mean, we never got pushed out of our lane. It felt like we were going to multiple times, but it never happened. All right, so the heavier bike definitely makes it safer in those faster winds. Now, we do have, like I said, there is a limit. We were riding down south from Colorado Springs. We were going to, where were we going? We were going to go to the Grand Canyon. That's what we were going to do. We were going to go down to Arizona. We're going to visit my folks. We were going up to the Grand Canyon, so we were heading south. And we were heading south on I-25. And I-25 had the sustained winds were 50 to 60 miles an hour. That was a bear. No lie. That was pretty difficult. Sustained winds at 50 to 60. Yeah, so anyway, 50 to 60 mile an hour sustained winds. And it was difficult keeping the bike on the road. But once we got past Pueblo, almost to the Rye turnoff, for those that in Colorado, doesn't matter, right? Anyway, so on the southern quarter, the last quarter of Colorado, if you're heading south, the winds were 90 miles an hour in gusts, and at one point in that area, it's known for crazy winds. And at one point, we basically had to stop. Everybody had to pull over and stop. And so here I am, me and the wife, with all the stuff, all the camping gear, everything. We were huddled under an overpass. I was sitting on the bike having to hold it because the wind was going this way, and I had it on a kickstand, and it was still trying to come off with this kickstand. And so I had to put my weight on it and keep it over until it started to slow down. We had vehicles, trucks falling over. In fact, right behind us, like a quarter mile behind us, another truck fell over and blocked the entire road. And so there was no traffic coming through. Again, we were all at a stop, just all stopped. Probably a dozen cars all hanging out underneath that underpass, just squeezing in. Anyway, so we were there for about half an hour sitting in that underpass while the wind was just killing everything, just knocking stuff over, and probably injuries for the drivers, obviously, but it was exhausting. And so finally I saw some motorcyclists coming northbound. I was like, okay, that's my cue that it's safe enough for us to ride. Got back on the bike, took off again with no traffic behind us because the truck was still blocking us. And we went all the way to almost about 50 miles short of the border, and then we took a hard right towards west. Right? Yeah, we went west, hard right to west to go through basically the Four Corners area, because the road all the way, I-25 all the way down to Albuquerque was still guts up to 90 miles an hour. And so we needed to find an alternate route that was a little bit with some coverage. And if you've been out there, there's still not much coverage, but at least we were riding in the same direction as the wind, and we didn't feel it as bad. And eventually by that evening it was petering out, and we made it into New Mexico for the night just fine. The whole point in all of that is that, yes, the bike is better, can handle better in high winds than a lighter bike, but there are limits. At 50 to 60 miles an hour, you're exhausting yourself, and at 90 miles an hour, you can still ride, but you're really risking injury and accidents. So so there's that as far as the wind is concerned. So that's the windshield and how the bike handles in the wind. All right, so